Hello, my dear friends. Once again, welcome back to my channel, Lyceum of Politics. Friends, today I shall discuss with you a very interesting idea related to justice. Okay, so let's discuss Rawlsian theory of justice. Let's begin. So, my dear friends, as you all know by now that the concept of justice has been viewed by philosophers from different dimensions since the earliest times. Okay, the traditional concept of justice, if I can refer to the great Greek philosopher Plato, you will find that his idea of justice was related to the concept of just man, a man endowed with the virtue of knowledge, rationality, and that one should perform his societal duties without interfering into the duty of the others in the society. In the same way, Aristotle viewed justice as to distribution of the honors and public offices according to the merit of that individual, right? So I have made videos on both these topics earlier in my channel. That is why I'm not going to the details of it. Just in case you want to get a look of it, you can go back and have a look, okay? So, however, the modern concept of justice, my dear friends, is quite different from the traditional view. How is it different from it? See, today, my friends, justice is more concerned with the establishment of a just society rather than the formation of virtuous man. And by just society, I mean a kind of society where there should be a logical criteria following which the benefits and the burdens of the society would be distributed to its people. That is, the services, the goods, the benefits, the power, the opportunities, all these things in the society which are wanted by all in the society would be distributed in a logical way so that nobody should remain oppressed and underprivileged in the society. Okay, so the appropriate allocation of the social rewards and the burdens are now the basic concerns of justice or social justice. Okay, so social justice, my friends, incorporates an overall comprehensive view of justice today. That is, it involves legal dimension, political, economic, and all these dimensions are involved in it. Okay, so all these comes in the area of social justice. You just cannot separate them as watertight compartments, but you should view them as a comprehensive whole. Fine. And another thing that I should tell you before I start with the Rawlsian notion of justice is, as you can see the last point in this slide, that there the scholars talks about basically two types of justices while discussing the concept of justice. They are procedural and substantive justices. Now, what are these? Now, according to the advocates of procedural justice, my friends, there is a necessity of determining a just procedure of distribution of the social goods. That is, whatever allocation of the rewards and burdens are being made, they must be made in a just procedure. Okay. So this is procedural justice. While the advocates of substantive justice would say that the allocation of the social advantages should be just and that should be the primary criteria than the procedure of allocating it. Okay. So procedure would come secondary. The first is you should allocate it. That should be your priority. So procedural justice in a way, my friends, denounces all kinds of discrimination based on caste, creed, race, religion, and treats that the rules and the procedures of market economy as the model rules of human behavior. Okay, and in doing so, it stretches the principle of open competitive market up to a very long extent, I must tell you. So you can also say like this, that procedural justice is more closer to the tradition of liberalism, while substantive justice is closer to the socialist ideas, as it advocates that justice in a society is ensured properly when the poor and the underprivileged section of the society get the adequate opportunity to develop themselves and that nobody is left behind. Okay, it includes all. And in the following slides, my friends, I will try to show you how John Rawls have tried to accommodate the requirements of both substantive justice with a well-drawn scheme of procedural justice. Okay. So, my friends, now John Rawls was an American philosopher of the 20th century who was born on 21st February 1921 in Baltimore, US. Okay. And he discussed his conception of justice in his famous work known as A Theory of Justice, which was published in 1971. But apart from this, he was also known for other important works like Political Liberalism, The Law of Peoples, Justice as Fairness, A Restatement, and many more. Okay. So, John Rawls witnessed the nuances of a capitalist society from a very close juncture, my friends. And Rawls said that inequalities in the society is a reality, and that it is also undeniable that this inequality that existed in the societies was also very unjust. The inequalities of the society was a product of the liberal capitalist system, and as assumed by Rawls that these has to be removed or minimized. And as I have told you that to him this was unjust because this inequality affected mostly that section of the society which is most economically vulnerable or economically weak, my friends. According to him, they suffered the most as a result of this existing inequality in the society. So Rawls was basically searching for a way to minimize the existing inequalities which was a result of the capitalist system. But my friends, he was not a Marxist. He did not dream of uprooting the capitalist system, but in place of that, he tried to minimize these existing inequalities in such a way that it works for the betterment of the weaker section of the society, the vulnerable section of the society. So, this is the basic background, my friends, on which Rawls was trying to build up his theory of justice. So Rawls, in his famous work, A Theory of Justice, brings in his concept of justice. In that book, he also talks about the concept of inequality of the society, which according to him appears to be fair only when it happens for the benefit of the economically weaker sections of the society. So while introducing his theory of justice, Rawls brings in the concept of social values, rather the concept of distribution of the basic social values in the society. Okay, now what are the social values? Rawls basically talks about social values like liberty, income, wealth, opportunity, etc. According to Rawls, these are the social values, my friends, that are always in demand in the society, and they should be made available to all in the society as well. So, these social values should be equally distributed in the society. But what happens if equal distribution of these social values are somehow not possible in a society? Then naturally unequal distribution is bound to happen, right? But according to Rawls, that unequal distribution should be fair in nature. That is, some fair principles for unequal distribution should be there. So, unequal distribution should be treated as fair when the principles followed in doing so should have a logical criteria behind it, and that it should work in minimizing the gap between the wealthy and the poorer sections of the society. This brings in the concept of distributive justice in the society. This kind of unequal distribution, according to Rawls, would lead to distributive justice. That is, inequality will be there in the society. There is no doubt about it. But that inequality would be termed as fair inequality when that inequality would work for the betterment of the weaker section, the vulnerable section of the society. Some fair principles of distribution of this social values like liberty, income, opportunity, property should be there so that the vulnerable sections of the society are not left out or they are being devoid of availability of these resources of the society. Some fair principles has to be decided. Now, who are going to decide these fair principles, how it should be incorporated within the society, all these will be discussed in my following slides. So let's move on. So now Rawls says that the fair principles of unequal distribution will be decided by the individuals themselves who are living in the society, my friends. Okay. And this should be done from staying in an original position. Now, what is the original position? See, according to Rawls, original position is an initial position of equality. It is basically a thought experiment, my friends. According to him, in this position, individuals are absolutely free and they are rational as well. So, in the original position, that is this basic position of equality, individuals will stay behind a veil of ignorance. So, staying behind this veil of ignorance, they are going to decide how they want to frame the basic fair principles of the society. The individuals, according to Rawls, behind this veil of ignorance, they do not know about his class position or their social status or say about their position in the society. So they are not aware of these things at all, my friends. They are not aware of their fortune in distribution of the assets. So therefore, the individuals can only formulate a just society when they are not aware of their position in the society, right? Otherwise, what will happen? Say, suppose the rich people, if they are aware of the social status, they would try to formulate some principles of distribution for their convenience, while the poorer sections of the society would try to build up principles for their convenience. And obviously, the interest of the rich and the poor will never get matched, and some fair principles of distribution would not be formed at all. But once these people living in the original position behind the veil of ignorance, they frame the principles, it would be just principle because they are not at all aware of their social status. And in such a situation, they are very rational. It would be easier for them to choose their fair principles for their convenience because they are not aware of the fortune of themselves in distribution of the assets of the society. So they would act rationally, they would choose rationally, and thus rational individuals would definitely choose the fair principles unanimously. Okay. So now, my friends, let us discuss the two principles of justice as discussed by Rawls one by one. Basically, in some of the books you will find that, or some sources rather, you will find that they are talking about three principles of justice, but actually Rawls is talking about two principles, though the second principle is divided into two different parts. Okay, I will discuss them one by one. Let us first have a look at the first principle of justice. The first principle is regarding liberty of the individuals. Okay. Now, according to Rawls, each individual should enjoy liberty in the truest sense of the term when his liberty is compatible with the liberty of others. That is, the liberty principle therefore speaks of equality of liberty for all. Liberty of one individual should be equal to the liberty of all others in the society. According to Rawls, the basic liberty of the individuals are like liberty of thought and expression, liberty of voting, liberty of speech, and even liberty of wealth and acquiring property. But as I have told you before, that Rawls is saying that the liberty of one individual should be equal to the liberty or compatible to the liberty of others. Okay. So, by now you are pretty clear with this idea that the first principle of justice as fairness, according to Rawls, deals with the basic ideas of rights and liberties, right? So, Rawls would say that fulfillment of the first principle takes priority over the fulfillment of the second principle. Okay. Now, let us move on to the second principle of justice. The second principle of justice is regarding fair equality of opportunity, my friends. And this principle is subdivided into two basic categories. The first part is opportunity principle, or number one is opportunity principle, and number B is difference principle. Now, opportunity principle, that is the first part of the second principle, talks about principle of fair equality of opportunity. Fine. In relation to acquiring offices and positions. And the second part, which is also known as the difference principle, talks about socio-economic inequalities. Those socio-economic inequalities that must be addressed in such a way that the least advantaged members gets the maximum benefits out of it. I have been telling you many times till now that Rawls says that socio-economic inequalities in the society should be taken as just only when those inequalities work for the betterment of the least advantaged or the vulnerable section of the society. Fine. So with that, now let us have a look at the different kinds of inequalities which and what are the reasons that are leading to it that Rawls is talking about. Okay. Now Rawls would say that the inequalities of the society may have several reasons behind it, like legal prohibition, birth status, talents and efforts, etc. Now, what is legal prohibition or legal inequality? Now, see, legal inequality means, say, suppose there are two friends, okay, and they are very good friends. They have same kind of educational qualifications, and they both want to join the police force when they have completed their school education. But see, unfortunately, one has the required physical criteria which he needs to join the police force, which the other do not possess. So the first one could fulfill the legal demands of joining the police force, which the other cannot. Okay. So this is a kind of inequality. Secondly, birth status. This means that if a person is born in a family, suppose where his parents are not educated, or that they could not afford to give a very good education to his student or the child, that is, they could not afford to send him to a very good school which has a very high monthly fees, so he has got a very gone through a very medium kind of school and he have studied there. But similar to him, in the same age, another person born in a very well-to-do family could afford going to a rich school, giving high salary every month, so he got that kind of education. So inequality is bound to develop in between them. So according to Rawls, these two inequalities, that is legal inequality and inequality for birth status, has to be removed by the state. These should not exist in the society, and that is why he is asking to restructure the society so that these two inequalities are diminished. And once the state removes the first two, the society will eventually change for better. He addresses the third type of inequality, that is the inequality of talent and efforts. So when a person is more talented, with more, suppose, IQ level, or he wants to put more effort, then you can justify that kind of inequality, right? So in order to create the same level, more or less same level for all the basis of talents and efforts, you need to address the first two. Once the first two are removed, then you can actually create a more or less favorable condition so that their talents and efforts could be shown. Fine. So how it can be done? Here comes the second part of the principle, that is giving maximum advantageous benefit to the least advantaged in the society. You help those who are weaker in the society, who are in the vulnerable position in the society, so that they get the chance to come up and then they can actually get protected by the state and a just society can prevail. For example, the people with more economy, or suppose people who are economically affluent, can be asked to pay tax and spend that money for those who are poor in the society, and in a way you can lead to the socio-economic upliftment of those persons or those part of the society. So this kind of inequality would benefit the society for betterment, to strike an equilibrium, and finally to minimize the gap between the rich and the poor. So I'm telling you time and again, my friends, Rawls basically believes inequality to be just only when it works for the least advantaged members of the society. When they get benefited by unequal distribution, then only you can say that yes, this kind of inequality is a just society. Fine. So this is the theory of John Rawls and his concept of justice in very simple way. I hope I could give you a very clear idea. If you like the video, do subscribe to our channel and press the like button, and Very soon, I will come back to you with a new video. Till then, as I always say, never stop learning and keep on exploring. Bye bye and take care. See you soon.